Welcome back, Truth Seeker. I am challenging Jake Morphonios of Blackstone Intelligence to a debate. He's come out and said that everybody who questions the legitimacy of Sandy Hook is a nutcase. And he said he has definitive proof that the shooting at Sandy Hook is real because of this death certificate right here. This is the supposed death certificate of the child named Noah Posner, the son of Lenny Posner, the leader of the Honor Network, who is going after free speech. And it's thanks to Lenny Posner that my channel's been shut down 17 times. Censorship, a lot of important content on my channels. My first channel predicted the date of many false flags, including the Las Vegas false flag that became the biggest terrorist attack in the United States since 9/11. And I predicted several times that that would be the biggest false flag since 9/11 that weekend that the Vegas shooting happened. It had to do with the way Yom Kippur fell and the numbers surrounding those dates. Yom Kippur about atonement for your sins, Sin City got shot up. So the deletion of my first channel due to the Honor Network lost a lot of important content for the truth community. And the same man who's saying that people are nutcases for questioning Sandy Hook is someone who thinks he did some great work on Vegas. That's Jake Morphonios, who in the wake of it called for more police presence in Las Vegas, which is exactly the point of these false flags, to build up the police state and to take away the rights of the citizens. So anyway, Jake Morphonios says that this right here, this death certificate, is evidence that the Sandy Hook shooting happened. Let's take a deeper look at this death certificate where the supposed date of birth of Noah Posner is November 20th, 11/20. Key digits there, 112, because those are the numbers coded all over Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook in Gematria equals 112. In case you're new here, I found out Gematria because of Sandy Hook. And because, well, it was actually really more than Sandy Hook. It had to do with 9/11 and the ongoing research I was doing. But then I finally figured it out with Sandy Hook because I knew there was something about numbers and false flags. And there was a reason the mainstream media kept repeating again and again that Adam Lanza weighed 112 pounds as if that was some important detail in the story. So Sandy Hook 112, Adam Lanza born April 22nd, the 112th day of the year, this obvious photoshopped character. If you guys wonder why I don't use my camera very much anymore, it's because it freezes all the time now. It drives me nuts. Anyway, Adam Lanza, born on the 112th day of the year, Sandy Hook 112. Every news source reported that he weighed 112 pounds, from the New York Times to Daily Kos to NPR to USA Today to everything. NBC, ABS, CBS, CNN, Fox News, just look. There's a million articles written about 112-pound Adam Lanza as if this is some crucial detail. And you know what 112 is? It's the alt dialing code to 911. If you dial 112 in your phone, you'll be connected to 911. When Sandy Hook happened, I was working at a school. I'm a former teacher. And I was working at a private school at that time in Washington State, nearly as far away from Connecticut as you can be. Relatively wealthy school where I was teaching. A lot of stay-at-home moms, and that day they were funneling in early to pick up their children. I said to my coworker in the middle of the day, I said, I have not seen people freak out this bad since 9/11. And again, it was because the media has so much influence on people. And they were really scaring parents with the reporting of this tragedy. And Jake Morphonios isn't talking about the facts surrounding the reporting of Sandy Hook. The day after the shooting, the media apologized for showing footage of a drill. They didn't even show the actual Sandy Hook Elementary School. They showed footage of a drill from a school 15 miles away. That was the excuse for why they had the men in fatigues running out the back of the school into the woods. Things we've seen before. But anyway, 112. And there's something deeper about 112. It's the Dune Blaine massacre. The Dune Blaine Massacre, March 13th, 96. 3 plus 13 plus 96, a date with 112 numerology. The Dune Blaine Massacre got gun rights taken away in the UK. And the Dune Blaine Massacre, first graders were targeted, reportedly, just like at Sandy Hook. Something interesting about Dune Blaine. 96 was a leap year. That made March 13th the 73rd day of the year. Dune Blaine equals 73. So does elementary school. So does Adam Lanza, the obvious photoshopped character. So does Leonard Posner, who's going after free speech, who doesn't show his face, but who has an awfully long nose. Like Pinocchio. So, anyhow, Jake Morphonios says Lenny Posner's legit. Well, here's a recent story everybody can look up. I have this link. Conspiracy theorists attacked them, then they fought back. And it's about Lenny Posner, the father of Noah Posner at Sandy Hook, and Andy Parker, the father of Allison Parker from the obvious hoax shooting. I wonder if Jake Morphonios would go on the record saying anybody's a nutcase for questioning the Roanoke, Virginia TV crew shooting, which couldn't have been a dumber hoax. You know, a gun that had no recoil, no shot, no shells, shooting a woman at point blank in all white, zero blood, just the most fake, contrived thing there ever was. And look at this. The name of the father, Andy Parker, equals 113, like Scottish, as in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. I'm pretty sure Jake Morphonios, who's a Mormon, is also a Mason. When we debate, if he has the balls, I'll ask him about that. But 113, special number of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, special number of deception from the Talmud. Again, just in case you're new here, just in case you're living under a rock and haven't seen any of the 5,000 videos I made in the last 5+ years. 113, Baba Kama 113a, Jews may use lies to circumvent Gentiles, which are non-Jews. It's a number of deception. Mainstream 113, same with dishonest, same with perverted, same with not true, same with not honest, same with not factual, same with disinfo, same with politics, same with perjury, same with fiction, same with bullshit, same with infidelity, divorce, sinister, and more. Number of deception. Notice the gematria of Sandy Hook Elementary School, 113. Notice the gematria of Stoneman Douglas High School, 113. The other weekend, we got the 3 suicide stories connecting these 2 schools, which have been connected from the moment the headlines broke about Stoneman Douglas, where they put out an image of teenagers walking with their hands on their shoulders, just like the children at Sandy Hook, covered the day of the shooting. Anyhow, this guy, Mr. 113 Andy Parker, who's a total lying fraud, as discussed in a longer video I did earlier, his daughter's Allison Bailey Parker, and what's her name equal? 113. The number of deception. The shooting in Virginia was on the day leaving 127 days left of the year. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry 127, Virginia 127. Allison Parker also has gematria of 139 and 58, like Freemasonry's 139 and 58. Like how Sandy Hook was a school shooting on a date with 58 numerology, Sandy Hook's also 58. The campaign out of Sandy Hook was Say Their Names 58, James Egan Holmes 58. Jake Morphonios, he went to Vegas where they reported 58 people were dead. The sheriff, the shooting was 58 days from his birthday. His birthday was August 5th, a 5/8 date. 58 coded again and again in these false flag shootings. Because who controls your military, your government, your police? Freemasonry. This is their agenda. That's why you got clowns like Jake Morphonios. And Jake, if you're not a clown, debate me and prove that you're not. But this is why you have clowns like Jake Morphonios, who is very likely a Mason himself. Again, he's a Mormon, which is a church controlled by Masonry, as are most churches. But he's out here defending this bullshit. Here's the shooter of the Aurora Theater shooting, James Egan Holmes, 58. Remember, the Aurora and the Sandy Hook shootings were synced up through the Batman movie. This shooting was at the Batman movie premiere in Aurora. For that film, the Gotham skyline for the first ever time had the sign that said Aurora. Don't forget Aurora equals 74, like Masonic, like a cult, etc., etc., etc. But that film had the Aurora light, bright orange sign in the Gotham skyline. It had never been there before. And for that film, they also put out a map of Gotham that you could buy as a toy. And the neighborhood that was always called South Hinckley was changed to Sandy Hook for that film. And notice from the Aurora shooting to the Sandy Hook shooting was 147 days later. Freemason 147, conspiracy 147. Since the Sandy Hook shooting, you've seen a lot of other school shootings theming the Batman. You had the Sparks, Arizona shooting shortly after. They said the teacher dressed up as Batman every day. You had the shooting. Oh, shoot. What was it called? It was another town with the name New in it. Escapes my mind right now, but the little boy got killed who liked to dress up as Batman. Supposedly they buried him in his Batman costume. This theme has come up again and again and again. And I'll also remind you that in 2012, the first school shooting of that year was February 27th, the 58th day of the year. Number that they use again and again and again. And Jake Morphonios is saying that not only is the Sandy Hook school shooting real, so is the Stoneman Douglas shooting. And what did they tell us about the Stoneman Douglas shooting? They said the majority of students shot were shot in room 1214. 1214, isn't that like the Sandy Hook date? 1214. And how many students were shot in Holocaust Remembrance class? They said 6. I wonder why they said 6 students were shot in Holocaust Remembrance class. I bet even Jake Morphonios can figure it out. Speaking of Holocaust Remembrance class, who hasn't read The Diary of Anne Frank, who was born Annalise Marie Frank, 113. Notice how they spell Annalise wrong with the word lies in the end. Again, Bava Kamal 113 is about how it's okay to lie to non-Jews, as long as it's in a legal setting, which is pretty much everywhere in the world. Don't forget swastikas 113, so is Auschwitz, a misrepresented symbol. A place where supposedly millions of Jews were gassed, but there's no evidence that anyone was gassed. And, Jake, if you debate me, just understand, I'm just giving you the tip of the iceberg, man. I got so much more in the arsenal. I will bury you 1,000 feet deep. But anyway, you're saying that all of these suicide stories are real? Seriously? Okay, I guess nothing stood out to you about the first suicide, the girl named Sydney Aiello, AI, the key letters in her name, like artificial intelligence. You should go back about a month and see the story CNN did about how artificial intelligence is allowing people to create life-like people in articles that don't even really exist. But Sydney, right after the shooting in New Zealand, at the mosques, which, by the way, I predicted in October. I said that would be our next New World Order False Flag Day, the 74th day of the year. Just like we do, understanding the numbers, understanding the repetitive patterns. You had the bomb scares in October with Caesar Sayoc. It was synced up with the Austin bombings, which were blamed on Mark Anthony. I said this is clearly a Ides of March riddle. Remember the Ides of March 2019, the 74th day of the year, one of their favorite numbers. I said, you'll see your next New World Order event. Ends up being the mosque shooting by the numbers. And then days after that, you have Caesar Sayoc in the headlines pleading guilty and apologizing. All riddles. But then what did they say? They said that the Stoneman Douglas children went to New Zealand to comfort the victims. Do you remember this? And the next thing you know, Sydney Aiello is committing suicide. And where did they say the shooter was from in New Zealand? They said he was from Australia. Like Sydney. In Jake Morphonios' videos where he's calling people nutcases, he's talking about how few IQ points you have to doubt that there was a shooting at Sandy Hook, how dumb you have to be. Sorry, Jake, let's have the debate, and let's see who's dumb. Let's see who's lacking the IQ points. I guarantee you get destroyed, Here's your evidence that it happened. Lenny Posner. A digital death certificate. I mean, come on, man. Embarrassing. But, again, hold on. Let me show you something. So this latest suicide, you talked a lot about this father of the latest suicide, how it's because of all these idiots out here are trolling these shootings, which are real, which you guarantee they're real because you've seen this document right here. I mean, who could ever doubt it after seeing that, Jake? But anyway, this story came on March 25th. This is the story, the day this debuted. You had the story March 22nd, 322 about the first suicide. Then you had another one over the weekend, and then you had the father on Monday. You get 3 of these stories, Friday to Monday, the last of which came March 25th, 325, Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, 325. That's the 85th day of the year, Masonry, 84. They said the daughter of the man who committed suicide was AVL Richmond, which equals 84. Story on the 84th day of the year. It was also a date with 47 numerology, like the 47 degrees on the Masonic compass. They said the father's name was Jeremy Richmond, which equals 142, like Parkland, Florida equals 142. Remember what day the shooting was at Stoneman Douglas in Parkland, Florida? Valentine's Day, 14/2. Remember the Parkland victims went to New Zealand to comfort the victims there of the shooting that they reported that was reported to have happened at 1:42 p.m. local time. Again, there's a reason they said the 9/11 attack lasted an hour and 42 minutes. Terrorist equals 142, and that's what government is. Definition of terrorism is government by intimidation. That's what all of these stories are. Anyway, Jeremy Richmond, 142. His story follows the 2 supposed Parkland suicides, 142. Jeremy Richmond also has that Gematria of 74. Gematria, the Masonic Code, Gematria 74-142, Jeremy Richmond 74-142, English language 74-142. The shooting on the 74th day of the year in New Zealand, they said happened at 1:42 in the afternoon. The World Trade Centers were on the 74th meridian. The attack lasted an hour and 42 minutes. My guess is Jake Morphonios is going to act like he never saw this video. So if you guys can hound Jake Morphonios on his video channel, on his Twitter, wherever this guy is, say, you need to debate Zachary K. Hubbard. And Jake, if you see this video, my number is 509-731-0567. Again, 509-731-0567. 0567. You give me a call, we'll set up the debate time, I'll work around your schedule, and we'll see what's what. Oh, by the way, Father 58, like Freemasonry, like Rosicrucian, like Secret Society, like Sandy Hook, like the date of the Sandy Hook shooting. The number they use again and again and again and again and again and again and again. All right. We covered enough, and just... You'll see, Jake. You'll see, buddy. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Until next time, Truth Seeker.